Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I was at a work session. Do we start with the roll call? Or is it's more informal until?
It's a little more informal, but
Right.
you call the meeting to order and then goes to a work session.
Perfect.
It's technically you have a quorum and all that, but yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and call this June 15th work session to order. All right. Staff? Yes, that's
Yeah,
what I
so
was
we're-
just asking.
So
Anything from
we
staff?
decided to do this about 6:15. We're just gonna go over some stuff with you on, just to keep you updated on where we're at with the growth policy update.
Okay.
We did step back a little bit just because of the legislative stuff that was passed. We're scrambling to get a bunch of zoning code changes to you guys that, certain things went into effect immediately with the legislature that we have to change our code for and things like that. But, so I'm gonna let Alan take over with the presentation and give you guys up to speed, and then we'll have a couple questions for you at the end.
Okay, thank you. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the planning board. Can everybody hear me? Usually people don't say they can't hear me. It's the opposite. I think I've introduced myself to you. I'm Alan Tiefenbach. I'm the long-range planner. I'm not sure if I've met anybody in the audience. I probably have. What I'm going to do is basically just bring you up to speed on where we are from the last time that we had a work session. And we're having the work session in council in the chambers because we want to have this recorded and streamed so that we can keep this up for the growth policy. So the last time that I talked to you, I believe we talked about the public engagement plan. We had a pretty robust discussion about that and had some citizen comment about that. I want to real quickly give you some background. As Dave just talked about, the Montana legislature just approved a flurry of different bills that are now laws. There's numerous ones that all go into effect immediately. There's another one that you'll hear us talk about called 382, which is now really the Montana Land Use Planning Act. It's a 53-page law. I'm still working through it. I'm not going to really talk about that tonight, but this will be coming in front of you at some point where we can talk about, there's some pretty big changes about the way that land use planning happens in Montana. But one part of this MLUPA is that whenever we adopt a growth policy, which is now called a land use plan, just to make it more confusing for you, a planning board they call now planning commission, and the growth policy is now called a land use plan. So if we can make anything more confusing, let me know. What MLUPA does is it says that anytime a city updates regulations or a land use plan, that they have to adopt a public participation plan. We're calling it the public engagement plan, same thing. And this details how the local government will provide continuous public participation when we're adopting, amending, or updating the land use plan and regulations. We sort of already knew this was coming, and we had already been working on that before this legislation passed. At April 20th, we had a work session, and we brought a draft to you of our public engagement plan. And we also talked about, at that time, a possible public engagement website. And we also talked about whether or not there should be a logo for the plan, if you remember that. Overall, the planning board and the public, I think, were supportive of it. There was some interesting and very helpful comments that we got out of that. One of the comments we talked about, this was a really good, it was from one of the planning board, and I can't remember who it was now, about adding information about reaching out to the local TV and radio stations to secure some public service announcements about this. To back up, so this public engagement plan, what this is going to do is this will be the plan that we follow as we move forward about how we keep the public engaged and how they can be engaged. And it's written to be very user-friendly. So one of the recommendations was to reach out to local TV or radio to get a public service announcement. There was some discussions about reaching out to the local student population about whether or not we can get them involved. There was some comments regarding, and I think it was for Flathead Families for Responsible Growth, about whether or not the language could be a little more binding. They had some concerns about too many mays and mights and not enough shalls and wills. There was some questions about, just to clarify, that there would be more that the meetings, there would be in-person meetings versus virtual ones. There was a lot of discussion about this public engagement site, but the plan may not have emphasized enough that there would be in-person meetings as well as virtual meetings. And then the planning board, we had an artist that we thought about securing at cost to do a logo for the plan. We brought to the board whether or not they thought that was the route that we should go. It was the board's consent that really we should try to open it up to everybody and have some kind of contest and see if we could get local talent. So that was really kind of summary of what happened at the last time. So to talk a little bit about the updates, I know you can't read this, but what you see in red there, one of the things that we did, there's pretty significant changes, is that we revised this public engagement plan that contains the new MLUPA requirements, what has to be done, and then we, in this plan, also address how we meet those requirements. Because that is now law, we thought it was important at the very beginning to say, this is what we're required to do, and this is how we're doing it. We did revise some of the language as much as we could to be more binding, to have like will and shall. There's only so much we can do because we're projecting ahead in the future, and we're trying to do some things. But, for instance, we don't know which civic events yet we're going to be at, so we don't want to say we will be at the Christmas stroll. We're not sure which one it'll be. So we did the best we could to make the language more binding, but again, we got to keep it a little flexible as we're moving forward on this. We did clarify more in the public engagement plan that there would be both virtual and in-person meetings. We would want to reach out as much as we can to the broadest segment possible. We did add some language in here about public service announcements. I got a screenshot here. It was actually really good luck that I was watching TV and this came on the screen telling me in particular how I can submit for a public service announcement to get things mentioned about the community. So we will be doing that. We'll be reaching out to them several weeks in advance of the kickoff meeting, which I'll talk about shortly, to try to get this word out to as many people as we can. And what you see red marked there on that page is basically where it's talking about the public service announcement. The other thing I think is pretty exciting that's happened since we've seen you is that we had a meeting with one of the teachers from Whitefish High School. He teaches political science to several classes, and he was super excited about the growth policy and about the idea of getting the students involved in some kind of class project. So we're still going back and forth, but what it looks like is going to happen is when we start getting into the visioning, which I'm not going to get too deep into today, but when we get to the visioning in the plan, trying to picture what the community should look like and what's important and what needs to be protected and what does the community look like in 25 years kind of thing, there's actually going to be a class that will be involved. It sounds like it will be like a one-week type project where we'll come work with the class, and there'll actually be students that will be part of this visioning process. We're also trying to see if we can get some of the students to help reach out to some of the younger students and find out what some of the organizations are that aren't involved. So bottom line is we are going to have Whitefish High School involved, and I think we're going to be doing some realistic visioning that would actually become part of the plan. I think it'll be super helpful to have a younger population kind of talking about what they think is missing and what they think some of the things that need to happen in Whitefish for the teenage population. So more to be revealed on that. That will be happening probably around in October. We think the visioning will be happening late September, early October. Will be just about the time that they're in that semester, and we'll be getting the students in. So super fun. Everybody enjoyed that one. One of the things that I talked about to you last time was about whether the planning board thought it was a good idea for us to move forward with a public engagement website. We talked a little bit about what those looked like, and the planning board was very supportive, as were the students, about us actually doing that. And there is a cost involved into it. We're right now planning on using it for 3 years. It hasn't launched yet. However, the good news is I can show you what it looks like. I'm going to try to do this. It's a little wonky for me to try to operate 2 screens because I'm using this screen as I'm doing this. This is what is known as the hub site. And what the hub site is that the public engagement plan allows up to 10 different projects to be displayed. What you're looking at here is the main hub. What you're looking at there is what is called a card, but really all you care is that's the project site for Vision Whitefish. Now, there could be we're in planning, we're talking about maybe having a project site for any of the code updates that are going on where people can be involved. There might be a long-range planning site. I know that there's some discussion in parks about whether they're going to have a site, but all of those sites would be displayed here, what you're seeing here. And when you click this, then it's going to take you, in this case, to the main Vision Whitefish page, which is what you're looking at here. I'll give you a little, don't know what just happened there. Let's see if that works. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the public engagement site, which has yet to launch. So this talks a little bit about what is a growth policy. Everything that's listed on here is shareable on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or by email. This is not activated yet. And the reason why is it's not activated until we publish this site. But what this will do is this will allow you or anybody to subscribe to this site. And when you subscribe to this site, you will be able to determine what you want to get alerts about. Whether you want to get alerts about every single thing that's updated, whether you only want to get alerts about dates that are happening or key events, whether you want to get alerts about new changes. So you can subscribe and personalize whatever alerts you want to get so that you'll be sent an email notice when something is put on this site. Over here on the right, now remember, we're still really early in this process, so there's only so much that I can put up so far, and there's still a lot of blank spaces here. But what you see on the right-hand side right now are important links, and I have the draft public engagement plan, not this one yet. I've got links to the YouTubes that have recorded sessions of the kickoff, or sorry, of the public engagement plan meeting and the existing conditions report. If you remember, I came and gave that to you. So I've got a description about what is a growth policy, why are we updating the growth policy, what does this website do. If you remember, I came and gave you the existing conditions report, and I did the existing conditions. Here's the map here. Here are our videos. This one's about the presentation I made for the public engagement plan. This one is about the existing conditions, so you could watch those in their entirety. Then down here, we have what are called tools, okay? The newsfeed tool is pretty obvious, and that any information that we want to put up will be in a new newsfeed. And when you click this, hopefully it will take you to a site where we could post almost anything about that. So we can put up as much text about this as we can. We can put documents up. We can put up pictures. This is all shareable. So each of these little newsfeed articles is a whole entire page. And I'm trying to, I can't, because I'm doing this on the screen, I'm having a hard time seeing this. So I want to go back here. So every news feed article is kind of like its own little separate page, and there's pretty much an infinite amount of stuff that we could put whole texts of the growth policy on there, and those texts can have comment boxes in them where the public can respond to it, or we can ask questions, or we can have polls. So if we post a new section on land use and we put it on this news feed, in one of these alerts, you can click to it, you can read all that text, and then the public will be able to comment. And not only that, but again, everything is shareable. So the kickoff meeting, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, we have a tentative date established for that. This is going to be the call to artists to submit ideas for, I'm going to change that cover artwork to see a logo so that we can start asking about getting some logos. So this is all the sort of the recent stuff. If you've looked at the existing growth policy page, it already has all this information. One of the things we did is we had to take a pause, and we're still kind of doing that while we scramble and figure out what the legislative changes are. These are all called tools here. Another tool here is a share your ideas. And all I did right now is just kind of put a little placeholder here so people can kind of navigate through and see what this will do. This will be a thing where citizens can say, hey, I have an idea. And they could post this here, and then people can respond to that idea. And it's moderated in several different ways. There's some artificial intelligence that will look for keywords, think about what those keywords might be. We can also keep an eye to make sure that people are behaving themselves, and if they're not behaving themselves, we can remove the comments, but the comments will still be in the record so we can show that we received them. This is your typical kind of forum board, start a discussion topic, so people can post discussion topics and have large chat forums. We can decide at what level, how public we want it to be. There is a question tool that we will use. So staff will say, hey, do you think a roundabout at XYZ intersection is a good idea, or would you rather see a light? And people can enter in and answer that question. There is a survey tool. I just lost my pointer. Let's see. Hold on here. There it is. Okay. There's a survey tool, and there's basically two different kinds of surveys in this software. One of them is called a quick poll, where you just answer one question, yes, no, and you choose a radio button. There's also very involved surveys where we can ask any number of questions and people can answer those surveys. And then the other thing they have, which is a super cool tool, which I talked about last time, is this mapping tool. And what this mapping tool will do is it's got this little widget here, and you'll be able to go on and put a pin in anywhere. I can ask questions like, where do you think X, Y, Z? Where do you think the most dangerous corners of Whitefish are? Where do you think are the issues that are difficult to cross the street? People can put a little pin here, and they can put their comment and say, this is the recommendations I make in this area, or here's where I think traffic is an issue. And it's all viewable to the public, so they'll be able to see all the stuff that people are putting up there. So those are the tools. Again, there's nothing there yet because all this site is still being developed, literally as you talk. This is the timeline here. And where we are right now is at the public outreach and kickoff phase. We're just kind of getting ready to start it off. And this talks about what all those things will be. And as the public or whoever, you can go through this timeline and you will be able to see where we are in this growth policy or now land use plan or whatever you want to call it process. This will probably change a little bit. We might have to tweak it as we move forward, but I think this gives you a good idea. And then down at the bottom, you can just see who the people are that are involved, that are listening. From these, you can see I definitely have a better picture than Dave. So this shows who will be listening and who you can contact and what their information is on this. So again, this is the website as developed right now. If the council is amenable to adopting this by resolution on Monday, which is what is required by state statute, then we would be launching this website probably by the end of next week. So it's all set up and ready to go. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, let me get back here, PowerPoint again. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is a kickoff meeting. We're working through the deals of this, all the details of this kickoff meeting today. We just had a meeting. I think we're pretty settled on what's going to go on, but we're thinking that the format will be introductions of staff in the project. We're inviting the planning board to be there, and we'll introduce you and what your role would be in this project. We would give a description of the growth policy, how the process will work, how people can be involved. There'll probably be a quick overview of what the new requirements of Amalupa are, because they're significant, especially about the way land use planning now works in Montana. I'll do an existing conditions report, which you have already seen, something similar to that. I will talk a bit about the public engagement site, which I just showed you, and how you can use it and how you can register. And we're talking about some of the staff being there, helping people register. Maybe there's a laptop available so people can sign up. On here it says a simple SWOT analysis. I don't think we've talked about that. We're probably not going to do that at the kickoff meeting, but that's the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. We're probably not going to do that at the kickoff meeting, so I'll take that out. That's but the kickoff meeting is more going to be an informational thing. We'll talk about what the upcoming meetings are, and we'll probably have a few maps there to talk about the existing conditions and what the future land use are. We have one of the question that we have to the planning board tonight is that we have the meeting tentatively scheduled for Thursday, August 24th. That would be the week after the regularly scheduled planning board meeting. That meeting would be from 5:30. Right now we have it scheduled from 5:30 to 7. That would be here in the council chambers. Our question to the planning board is about whether that date actually works before we go live with it. And if it does, would the planning board like to attend and be involved, whether they're asking questions or providing information? Did I miss anything, Dave? I don't think so. With that, that's the presentation where I had, and I'm open for questions or comments.
Thanks, Alan. Questions from the board?
Thanks for sharing the website. It looks really good. I'm wondering if there's any requirement for people who will actually participate and post comments to share identifying information or demographic information so we can tell these are all people over 65 who are saying they're against this, or, these are all 18-year-olds. What are those requirements?
Super great question. Thank you. So when you sign up on the site, there are required questions, and then there are optional questions. And I already have the sign-up form. I could try to pull it up right now, but it's so wonky for me trying to do it. I don't know how easy it'll be. But right now, and we can choose what the required questions are. Right now, the required questions are a username, an email, whether or not you live in the city of Whitefish. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Then there's optional questions. Some of the optional questions are what your first name is and what your last name is. We weren't sure if we wanted people to actually have to give their legal first name and last name. A lot of people don't want to do that. There's also optional questions. So as you're registering, it'll say, here's the required questions. In order to register, you're going to have to give us a username, a password, whether or not you live in the city, what your zip code is. Cannot sign up unless you have those things. Then there's a little disclaimer that says, we're moving forward with the growth policy, and one of the things we need are demographics, because we need to know who we're planning for, who's answering these questions. And then there'll be questions. The questions so far are going to be, what age group do you belong to? And it'll be like from 0 to 16, 16 to 24, I think, kind of some of those more census type ones. One of the question is, do you own a house or do you rent a house in Whitefish? Do you only own one house in Whitefish, or are you renting, or do you have any investment properties? One of the questions is, what is your income level? And that's super important, because that will tell us, how many people that are involved can actually afford to live in Whitefish and what their age is. So those are the basic questions, and I think it's important to note that when you sign up, you're signing up for the whole Engage Whitefish site. When I say Engage Whitefish, I mean that hub site where all the project sites are. So any department that's going to be using this, whether it's us or Public Works or Parks, will all have this basic demographic information. As we move forward with the growth policy, I think that it will be prudent for us to ask more of those kinds of things. I think this is a great opportunity for people to be able to give us that information. But does that answer your question?
Thanks, Alan. I really appreciate the work you're doing on it, and I think that it's just really nice to have a lot of energy as we bring this forward to the public. So great work on that. I was just curious, and maybe you had mentioned, will there also be, in addition to the website, social media pages on like Facebook and Instagram and other places sharing the information on the website, or that'll be moderated by the city, or how will that work?
Yes, on multiple levels. Let me pull this back up again. Again, it's kind of wonky. I'm trying to use that as a computer screen, and it's not easy to do. Okay, so first of all, so this is going to eventually serve as the main page. This is going to be the go-to page, because it's just too hard for me to try to manage multiple pages. What's going to happen is, once we have this set up, I'm going to send out, I have a large list of emails right now. I'm going to send this out to all the emails. I'm going to say, here's our new page. You need to subscribe to this page. I'm not going to keep sending individual emails. If you want to be involved, this is where you sign up, and everything is going to come to you. Now, in addition to that, whenever there is a significant event, I'll make sure that it's posted on the main city webpage. Also, our city clerk manages our Facebook page. So there'll be an alert on the Facebook page. But in addition to that, everything on this site that I post, which you can see the little logos, is shareable on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and email. So people can, when I put up kickoff meeting, and here's a description of what the kickoff meeting is, people that go on here will be able to share it on their Facebook page.
Okay, so it will be shared onto the city page, but the Vision Whitefish itself won't have its own like social media, but it'll be shared on the city social media as well.
We haven't planned on putting together a Vision Whitefish Facebook page. No. There's a city Facebook page, but this functions very much like that. But you can share anything you want on your personal Facebook page.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think
It'd be
it's
hard to moderate both of these, and especially as crazy as Facebook can get. This has a little more controls over what can be posted on here if need be.
yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Is the planning board, I guess, overall, are they happy with the way this is going? Because ultimately, you're the ones that are going to be recommending or not recommending the growth policy to the council. Do you like the way things are progressing so far?
I would say I'm very excited about the website and how fast you pulled it together and how direct it is. So it makes it really easy. I'm just, because of my work, thinking about the conversations there could be on social media, and I think it makes it really easy for people to get accurate answers quickly, whether or not they're at meetings. And so I think that's really important. If they can make it to the public engagement sessions or not, being able to see what happened, stay up to date, follow the timeline, I think it's really informative and helps people to get involved. So
I appreciate that. And that's, our intent here is what we're trying to do is that everything you're seeing in these meetings will be available online too. So you don't have to come to the public meetings to participate. You'll be able to watch the videos and you'll be able to communicate on the website as well as you can come here and speak into the microphone.
Run up to the top of the page, if you can. Okay. I just have a couple questions. Number one, I think that it's great. Everything about it seems good. I've got a couple of ideas and comments about it. One of those would be to this Vision Whitefish 2045 sounds great. Growth policy update. I would suggest adding "and info" or growth policy information and update. Because stating growth policy update sounds like, this is the way it's going to be, kids. You don't have anything to do with it. Whereas if it's growth policy information and update, it might psychologically open it up that, oh, this is information for you. And you can see it. Any announcements that go forward to promote this? I would suggest, providing the city council approves it next week or whenever, any announcements in the paper contain a link to the site. I've noticed, I get the paper electronically, and when I'm going through, sometimes I don't know where my cursor is, and I'll hit it, and boom, all of a sudden I'm going to some other page.
engagewhitefish.com.
Yeah, some other page, and so that's something. So I would make sure you include a site, and then I think it would also be handy if the city can cough up the money to put some decent ads in the paper. In other words, rather than just a little editorial thing or something like that, but an advertisement, color advertisement. Get involved, city, depending, let us know where you want us to grow or how. And then the sign up and everything, I think, is good, especially the demographics. And will the planning board, city council, or whoever get a list of the demographic questions so that we might add suggestions like, oh, maybe you want to ask this question?
So I think one of the things, and I don't think I did a good job of talking about this. I mostly talk about what you see on the front end of this.
Yeah.
But on the back end, there's a lot of super helpful things. So we can run queries of subscribers based on age, income, where they live. When you take polls, we will be able to run analysis to show like what were the most popular questions, what are the sections of the website people like and don't like, what tools don't seem to be going on, what forums are blowing up. So all that information is all going to be possible to share with the planning board.
Yeah, another suggestion is at the top of this where you have ghost policy and the lovely picture of the city, and then Vision Whitefish, and then you have to scroll down to the tools and the other things. It might be handy to just put, like when you below the scroll back the other direction. Further. Like these buttons right here, news feed, blah, blah, blah. Something like that up near the top. So in other words, when you go onto this page, you don't have to scroll down to get to the tools or the share your ideas or something like that. In other words, those buttons are right along the top, so you can go to them.
I will look and see if I can link that. I can't guarantee that I can do that because this isn't like a website built from scratch. This is a template that's offered, and we have these modules where we have
Yeah,
to choose.
yeah, okay.
I will see if I can do that, but I can't guarantee that I have the capability to do that.
Okay, all right. Otherwise, I think that it looks great, and all of the tools and the share your ideas and everything like that, I would hope that people would get involved. I hate to be one of the, what is there, probably 25, maybe 50 of us that actually decide what the city's doing and where we're going and everything like that, and then the other 8,500 complain about it, or agree in certain cases.
So I'll look and see if I can do that. Again, I can't guarantee I can. When you look at all these, Granicus is who makes this, or Engagement HQ, and all the sites are all, and once you start looking at Missoula's and Bozeman, you'll see they all kind of look the same, because there's different templates that you can choose, but they all kind of work the same way. They've dumbed them down, basically, so people like me know how to use them. I'll look and see if I can do that. Depending on what happens at the council on Monday, though, you would be seeing this going up next week.
Alan, I think that looks awesome. I would echo a lot of Allison's comments, and I really hope that we find this an easy way to communicate with the public, that they find non-threatening, and we get lots of engagement from it. It looks like it's going to be great when it's done, so thank you.
I need to be on. Do we need to make a motion or anything that they do follow through with this? Because wasn't this that?
I mean, the one question is, does that date work?
Yeah, August 24th, the
is
Thursday,
everybody all available?
Thursday after the meeting, right? Yeah.
And then,
I would say yes for me. I think as long as a couple of us are.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake. I think as long as a couple of us, at least 2, 3, can make it, that would probably be sufficient. So.
I do think, I guess, probably not necessary, but I do think it would be helpful if the planning board didn't want to offer their support for the website and the public engagement plan for the council, so that we could tell the council that you supported what you were seeing tonight, what you were saying tonight.
Well, then how about a motion to recommend approval or not?
you might want to take public comment too first.
Would anybody from the public like to speak on this matter? No? Okay. Pardon? Public comment is closed on this matter.
I'll make a motion to recommend both the website and the date for approval by the city council from the planning board.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously with an affirmative recommendation from planning board. Thank you, Alan.
That's it for me.
Yeah, we can adjourn the work session, take a little quick break before the regular meeting.
Okay, sounds great. We're adjourned until our regular meeting. Thank you.